A long time ago, in a basement far, far away, there lived an old and crusty neckbeard called Old and Crusty Neckbeard Number 1. Old and Crusty Neckbeard 1 was approaching his end of days, and with that end of days, he foretold a prophecy. In it, he foretold the days where feminists would soon turn on each other, like the time they once had a fight with their best friend in high school. They would eat each other because there were no longer any cis-het white men to eat instead. Now that prophecy has come to pass, and in this video you are about to see is nothing but the start of the great feminist civil war. Okay. I think you guys get the picture. Now, on with the video. Take it away, ladies.
You might have heard the term white feminism used lately.
Nope.
After Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift's Twitter exchange, or when people critique HBO's Girls. But what does it mean?
It means, simply, my dear, that modern day third wave feminism doesn't have any real problems that it needs to fight. It basically just, rather than say the men's rights movement has real ethical and moral reasons and problems that it needs to face, you guys have to deal with things like Lena Dunham's TV show and two idiots fighting each other on Twitter. You see, if two men who are white and black had a silly little handbag spit and fight on Twitter, nobody would be trying to analyse this through the lens of identity politics and intersectionality and feminism. It would just be two guys having an argument and they need to grow up and be like men. But because it's two famous women, apparently this has to be viewed in this kind of academic lens. And that is what it means. You basically have nothing to fight, so you deal with your first world problems and non-issues, like men sitting.
Basically, white feminism is feminism that ignores intersectionality.
Oh my, that's quite a bad thing, mustn't it? I mean, it was once foretold that apparently people, once they do away with all their morals, they eat each other. Or was that just from The Dark Knight and I've been watching too much Batman recently? But tell me, dear fellow, how come feminism without intersectionality is such a bad thing? Please, tell.
So not all feminists who are white feminists.
But most white feminists are white, because white people just don't have to think about things like race on a daily basis.
Well, if they happen to be intersectional identity politicians, then yeah, it's on their mind constantly.
And we're not just pulling the race card.
Yes, you are. You just discussed a load of people's race as if it was a particularly bad thing. I mean, look at your face. Look at your face. That shows you are pulling the race card. And the only reason why you're trying to make yourself stop looking like you're pulling the race card is if you've got some white girl trying to make it look like, oh look, we're not racist. We're not actually trying to say that these white feminists are, bad, wrong because they're white and bad because they're white. You see, look, we're all for diversity. Look. Ebony and ivory, all in perfect harmony.
White feminism excludes the experiences of basically anyone who's not white, cis, and straight.
Here's why that's so problematic.
You see, I was waiting for you to use that word. Why is it? Why is it that you spend so long trying to fight the cis white het men, and now that you've dealt with the white and cis het men, that you now have to turn on the white cis het women, the ones who actually are the most privileged in society? I mean, as far as I'm aware, these social justice warriors and feminists that you speak of have been on your side for the last 30 odd years, 40 odd years. Why are you turning on them? What exactly have they done wrong? All I see on Twitter is them trying to fight on your side, fight by your side, be your allies. I mean, I'm not trying to defend them or anything, I'm just trying to be a neutral party and be objective here. They're not doing an awful lot wrong in your eyes, but, the feminist rulebook, it shifts and changes as much as a baby's mood. 1 minute you're happy, bright and smiling, and next thing you know, you're red-faced and you're crying over some stupid thing like, this man sat in the wrong way, and I don't like it. Ah, that person over there she's dressed in a skimpy outfit, and I don't like it. See what I mean?
First, it assumes the way white women experience misogyny is the way all women experience misogyny. And that's just not true.
Really? Because I thought all women and minorities were oppressed by the oppressive and destructive force of the patriarchy.
White feminism aims to close the wage gap between men and women. But what it fails to recognize is that most of the time, Latina and Black women make even less than white women.
But we all know that the wage gap doesn't actually exist. So I don't know why you're bothering to shoehorn that bullshit in here. It seems like every single time I've seen a video about feminism, they've always tried to push in some kind of major problem that they've got to deal with. Like, it's like a trope, almost. Aye, hang on a second. Trope?
And police brutality should be viewed as a feminist issue, but it doesn't affect white women the way it affects women of color.
It seems like everything should be a feminist issue. And by the way, I'd like to point you towards these two examples in Sargon of Akkad's latest video, and then tell me that it's different for white women than it is for black women.
If Sandra Bland had been a white woman, would a simple traffic stop have resulted in an arrest?
Most definitely, if they disobeyed the orders of the cop in question and actually tried to resist arrest. I think you'll find that's called equal opportunity arrestment.
Would she be viewed as a loud, angry black woman?
No, she'd be viewed as a loud, angry white woman. Get your pronouns right, you horrible shitlord.
Would she be dead?
Since she died of a problem that was beyond the police's capability of finding out, if this is the right victim that I am thinking of, then yeah, she probably would have. She probably would have died of that illness or problem, some kind. Didn't she have some kind of stroke or something? I can't remember. I might be confusing two different stories entirely, but they were all through accidental means as far as I can gather. So yeah, probably would have died. You don't know that. People die in police custody all the time. A lot of it is the cop's fault, but a lot of it is also through means beyond humans' control to stop or to even cause.
White feminism ignores the role that whiteness plays in creating things like beauty standards. For example, this is okay, but this isn't.
Since when did anybody tell you or tell me what is an acceptable form of beauty? I mean, I've not heard anyone say that that white woman is more acceptable than Nicki Minaj showing her ass. Now, you see, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that that parental guidance sticker is there because of Nicki showing her ass. Well, actually, it's not, ironically. It's for the lyrics that she performs in her songs, which are very graphic for kids. I mean, I personally don't think they're that graphic at all. They're just silly. They're just Nicki Minaj lyrics. But if that was on an album by, say, Eminem, it would mean the exact same thing. And by the way, whiteness does not play a role in beauty standards. It doesn't. Beauty standards are a thing that some culture has thought up and it has evolved throughout the years. I mean, even in India, where there are hardly any white people living there nowadays, they still consider lighter brown Indians to be more attractive than the darker brown Indians. And I'm of Indian descent, and I know this. They prefer someone like me than someone who is darker. It's just the way it works in their culture. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just a preference. And besides, even then, that doesn't mean that they cannot appreciate absolutely beautiful dark-skinned Indians. Of course there are some that are darker and are considered beautiful. It's just the way it works, and societies are constantly changing their beauty standards. I reckon what I'm talking about probably isn't even a thing anymore. Such is the way that beauty standards change. I mean, in the 80s it was different, in the 90s it was different. 10 years ago it was different. This decade is no different, and it will continue to evolve. You can't stop that. You cannot try and change it to suit your needs. It just isn't. And stop trying to peddle this belief that blacks aren't viewed as well as whites in terms of beauty. They're not. People like what they like. Men like what they like. Women like what they like. It's a free world, at least in theory.
White women are most often the faces of feminism. Tina Fey, Taylor Swift, Amy Schumer have been able to break into industries that have been dominated by cis white men.
And who anointed them as the faces of feminism? It wasn't me. I'm an anti-feminist. It was you. It was you people who nominated them as the faces of feminism. They didn't nominate themselves. You nominated them. You were the ones who wanted them to be your voice. And if they're the best ones who can be your face of feminism rather than actual feminists, then my God, no wonder you guys are fighting each other. There's only so much self-contradiction a movement can handle before it turns in on itself like a black hole.
But black women, women of color, we face barriers that white women don't.
Then what are these invisible, nameless barriers that you speak of? Go on, list me some.
Critiquing white feminism isn't about silencing those women.
Yes it is, yes it is. Come on, you're not fooling anyone. When you said you wouldn't censor or try to change our games, you went ahead and told Target in Australia to censor GTA 5. And you told Obsidian to remove a poem out of their medieval game because you thought it offended trans people, even though trans people shouldn't technically exist in a medieval world because the technology did not exist to give them a sex change. But, oh well, I digress, I guess. Don't mind me, I'm just pointing out the obvious here.
It's about opening up space for even more diverse voices to be heard, and that's great for everyone.
Ah, the feminists have discovered a dissenting voice within their own ranks. Quick, we must destroy it. It's good for everyone. For the greater good.
Being a white feminist doesn't make you a bad person.
It makes you an evil, problematic person that we must deal with discreetly.
It just means you have a lot to learn.
The most important thing any white feminist can do is educate herself and listen and engage with the experiences of women of color without silencing them.
Suck up the lovely and exquisite air that is feminism propaganda. Brainwash yourself further to be ingrained deeper into this cult. And please, while you're at it, steal a page from Not Your Shield script, because it's only taken us a full year to realise that we cannot be the voice of everyone. We can't just silence people we're trying to defend.
Because sometimes as white ladies, we just have to shut the fuck up.
And there you have it. They finally turned on the people that they were sworn to defend. It turns out it is the white women that are now the problem. They have to shut up and let the others speak. That, you know, what men have been told to do for so long. Because, quite frankly, they really have just no fights. They have nothing that legitimizes them as a movement. Absolutely nothing. And with that, I end this video. This has been CharmingMan93. Like and share the video, subscribe to my channel, drop a comment, and until next time, I will see you all later.